Now, it's safe to say that there are a slew of disturbing horror movies out there, ones that will make you squirm, feel physically sick, and maybe change your whole outlook on life. However, there are some out there that are uncomfortable for different reasons, whether that being because they're bad, twisted, or just downright ridiculous. Today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 horror movies that are uncomfortable to watch. Remember, uncomfortable is a broad term, so don't be upset when I don't include a Serbian film, The Last House on the Left, or Salo. Those are hard to discuss. You have been warned. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. In at number 5 we have Splice. This train wreck of a movie is uncomfortable to watch for many reasons, but mostly because it's just so damn terrible. It has some horrible scenes that I'm gonna talk about, but I wish I didn't have to talk about. Released in 2009 and directed by Vincenzo Natali and starring Adrien Brody and Sarah Polley, the movie tells of experiments in genetic engineering that are being conducted by a young scientific couple who are attempting to introduce human DNA into their work of splicing animal genes. In turn, they create Dren, and things go downhill rapidly from there. Dren can change genders and acts on instinct. Whether that's for self-preservation or to reproduce is beyond me. But at one point in this movie, Dren assaults Adrien Brody's character, and it is incredibly disturbing and uncomfortable to watch. The whole thing is a train wreck because nothing quite makes sense. On top of that, spoiler ahead, Dren changes gender towards the end of the movie and goes on to assault Sarah Polley's character, ultimately impregnating her. I guess there's my answer right there. Everything is down to self-preservation and reproduction, and honestly, I hate every moment of it. However, critics disagree with me with the general consensus reading. It doesn't take its terrific premise quite as far as it should, but Splice is a smart, well-acted treat for horror fans. It is not. It is not a treat in the slightest. In at 4 we have Misery. Misery is perhaps one of my favourite Stephen King adaptations of all time, with Kathy Bates traumatizing viewers for years with her portrayal of the sinister Annie Wilkes. Released in 1990 and directed by Rob Reiner, the movie, like the book, follows author Paul Sheldon, who crashes his car and is rescued by an obsessed fan, Annie Wilkes. However, things turn bad pretty damn quick when Paul realizes that Annie may not be as sweet as she initially appeared to be, with Paul quickly become a prisoner in her home. The movie is terrifying because it presents us with a new type of killer, the sweet woman next door. Annie initially appears as a woman who would go out of their way to help you, maybe bring you cookies if you moved in next door. However, that facade crumbles early on into the movie when Annie learns of how Paul's latest book is gonna end, with her demanding that he write a new ending. She of course has no desire or intent to let him leave her home, with the crazed Wilkes breaking his ankles with a sledgehammer. Lovely stuff. The movie is what nightmares are made of and makes you question about calling for help if you're in a tricky situation. Annie Wilkes is the embodiment of evil, yet she looks like any other person. She could be your neighbor, she could even be your family member. She is scary because she hides in plain sight. No one suspects that sweet woman that lives down the street, and that's the problem right there. This movie is incredibly uncomfortable and terrifying to watch, but that's also what makes it so great. I do have to admit though that I still close my eyes whenever the ankle breaking scene comes on. I'm not a fan. I hate it. In at 3 we have Teeth. Oh man, what to say about this movie? It's honestly a joke, an uncomfortable joke that I don't think I can return to. Released in 2007 and directed by Mitchell Lichtenstein, the movie follows Dawn, played by Jess Wexler, who is a member of her high school's chastity club. However, when she meets Toby, she decides to turn against the group and they have sex. But during this time, they quickly learn that her vagina has teeth after Toby attempts to assault her, and things turn bloody pretty damn fast. Now that we have the premise out of the way, it is easy to figure out why this movie is so uncomfortable to watch. The movie itself is based on the folktale of the vagina dentata, which describes a woman's vagina that is said to contain teeth. Yep, that is a real thing apparently. Well, not real, just myth that's been spread throughout history. Terrifying. Throughout the movie, her ailment becomes her aid, with the teeth actually saving Dawn, as described at the beginning of the movie. She becomes one with her situation, with the ending, which I won't spoil because you all hate when I do that, also hinting to Dawn using it as her secret weapon of sorts, especially against predators. The film itself was mostly praised by critics, with the general consensus reading smart, original, and horrifically funny. Teeth puts a fresh feminist spin on horror movie tropes. And it certainly does, that's for sure. This movie is as original as they come, but like I said, I don't know if it's one I'll be returning to anytime soon. I'm okay not seeing vaginas with teeth. Not a fan. In at number 2 we have Saw 2. You may be surprised Saw 2 is the movie I selected to be at number 2, but it's my list and that needle scene still haunts me to this day. I hate it. Released in 2005 and directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, this sequel to the smash hit Saw sees John Kramer, aka Jigsaw, being apprehended by the police with his identity finally being revealed to the public. However, he manages to set up one more trap, with one of the arresting officers, Eric Matthews, being caught in one of the serial killer's games. He must talk to Jigsaw for 2 hours, otherwise he will never see his son again. While this is all going down, another game is being played, which includes Matthew's son, who is trapped inside a house with a group of strangers, who are put through a series of tests to receive the antidote for a nerve agent that will kill them in 2 hours. It's edge of your seat stuff, as you would expect, following the dramatic ending of the first movie with the saw in the foot. Actually, looking back, I never really did consider the fact that the movie was named Saw because you had to saw off your own foot. I'm late to the game, it just took me a while to get there. The more you know. Anyway, in Saw 2, we watch on as the characters are put through a series of horrific tests, with one of them requiring the character Amanda, a recovering addict, to jump into a container full of needles. She does it, and it is absolutely horrific to watch as we see all the needles sticking into her. Yeah, I can feel them on my skin. Anyway, the movie has many traumatic moments throughout. Not just that, but also the game where a character has to reach their hands into a box. However, when they try to pull them out, glass sticks into their wrists and starts cutting them up. I hate that one. The movie was probably one of the last genuinely good movies in the Saw franchise, with it really going downhill after that. They're all shit now. Piece of shit. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have the Human Centipede 2. This movie should really need no explanation for why it tops our uncomfortable list, because the Human Centipede 2 is arguably one of the most uncomfortable movies out there. Uncomfortable in the sense that we have no idea / can't believe what is going on. The movie is downright crazy, disturbing, and all things vomit-inducing. It's uncomfortable because it's so terrible, yet you can't quite look away. Released in 2011 and directed by Tom Six, aka the strangest man alive, this depraved movie centers on a deranged man who is obsessed with the movie The Human Centipede. Very meta, I know. So what does he do? He decides to make his own real-life human centipede consisting of 12 people, including the actress from the first film. As you would expect, the movie is incredibly disturbing and uncomfortable to watch, with Lawrence R. Harvey being particularly chilling, and the black and white adding to the creepiness. Now, the deranged man of course places the star of the movie at the front of the centipede, with him attaching each person's lips to the next person's butt. It's gross, so gross. But at this point we're all uncomfortably familiar with the plot. Now, the movie has a doozy of an ending that will make you feel somewhat better after going through what you just went through, but regardless, there are some moments in this movie that make me feel physically sick. They are so disturbing and so uncomfortable that I can't even mention them on camera. All I can say is barbed wire. The movie was criticized around the world, with many countries requesting for it to edit out particularly controversial moments, or some even banning it altogether. Honestly, I've banned this movie in my mind because it's absolutely disgusting. 10 out of 10 hate. It also makes the first movie feel like a piece of cake. Like, I could go back and watch the first movie happily after watching this piece of shit. Like, makes me feel horrible. All they had to do in the first one was literally just swallow each other's poop. That's the worst thing that happened, right? Yeah. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? With any uncomfortable horror movies that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 best PG-13 horror movies. Senbon Sankura Kageyoshi said, the others should definitely be on a list like this. The foreboding atmosphere alone sticks with you long after the movie has ended and made even the mundane seem haunting. That's very, very true. The Others is one of my favorite ghost films of all time. So good. Plus Nicole Kidman, plus spoiler, they're all dead at the end. Amazing. Big John Capert said, Dear Lucy, you are adorable, especially in your primary coloured hoodie, which makes you look even cuter. You are the most beautiful princess of darkness ever. That's very sweet, thank you. I'm also the queen of darkness, I get it right. I ain't no princess. Remember that. Kelly Kissinger said, I'm right there with you. Spiders are scary. Spiders are terrifying. The other day, it was yesterday morning, 6:30 AM when I was getting ready for work. I was in my bathroom minding my own business, and under the door emerged a creepy spider. It cornered me. I was cornered against my wall, and then I screamed like my life depended on it, and then Joss thought someone had died, so she came running in, and then I made her kill her. It's the story. Don't f with spiders. Can hate them. Jack Wright said, Lucy, dunking on the haters. Damn right. If you hate me and leave comments about it, I'm definitely gonna respond to them. That's for sure. Shauna Burt said, The Hole 2009 was a good one. If it's the one I'm thinking of with Keira Knightley and that other girl, Thora Birch, when they're in the hole and they get locked in the hole, and then they all start to die of like dehydration, and then one dies, Keira Knightley dies because she drank her pee too many times, and then one dies from like smashing his head. That's a good movie. If that's the movie we're talking about, that's a great movie. But then it has two endings, so you don't know what's the real ending. They all die anyway, it's fine. Murray Henderson said, wait, you're telling me Arachnophobia was PG-13? Certainly was. Any film that has spiders should be rated R, so I don't want to see it. Don't want to see it. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later.